I'm Todd Bookspan, and welcome to your neighborhood real estate show. The hyper-local real estate show where real estate professionals talk about the neighborhood you live in or the neighborhood you want to live in. This episode is brought to you by HomebuyerUniversity.net, your free comprehensive guide to buying or refinancing your home. Click over to HomebuyerUniversity.net to get started online today. Hey everyone, I'm Todd Bookspan, and welcome to another episode of Your Neighborhood Real Estate Show. I am so excited for you to meet Rebecca Hidalgo Rains, who is here today to talk about the Integrity All-Stars.
So good, Todd.
I was like, all right, I had to look down.
I know, he did so good pronouncing my last name, or my middle name now. It used to be my last name.
Exactly.
Very proud of you.
And that was your last name when I met you. See, so I still feel like that's who you are.
Well, I am. I'll always identify as Hidalgo. I got in the business working for my dad, and that's, was his last name when he was still with us.
All right, so you said you got into business at 19. Like, that's crazy. Like, how, most people are like, I'm going to go do whatever, and you jumped into real estate. Did you do something before you did real estate, or you just got straight into real estate?
I was at ASU for a year working for an attorney because I had these dreams of being an attorney. I actually got paralegal certified years later and then decided that was a really stupid idea, and I had nothing to do with being an attorney after that. But that attorney used to scream at me across the hall going, "Girl, coffee!"
Oh,
and, yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, and I was just like this little 18, 19-year-old kid going to ASU. I loved the job because I could park in his parking lot and just walk across the street to class, right? And my dad had been asking me to come work for him from the time I turned 18 because you can get licensed as soon as you turn 18. And I didn't want to work for my dad. Who wants to do that, right?
But it's better than girl coffee.
Yeah, so he yelled at me for other things, I'm sure. We had plenty of fights, but at the age of 19, I finally called him. I'm like, "Dad, I can't take this anymore. What do I need to do?" So he puts me through the Arizona School of Real Estate when it was still in downtown Scottsdale, at the original campus that used to be a hair salon.
Yep.
And Bill Gray himself taught me my first class, and I still remember it was on escrows and settlement statements. Back then we called them HUDs. Yeah. And so I'm totally dating myself, and I'm super old. And I'm listening to him, and I'm like, that sounds so weird. Why would we need this other company? I was so mind-blowing. This little 19-year-old brain couldn't take it. And now, of course, I laugh, nearly 30 years later, and I'm still doing what I do at full time, and I love it.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. I think it's always interesting to hear that when someone's lucky enough, I think, to get in younger, right? So for me, this was kind of my second career, getting into the real estate mortgage world, and I just think, gosh, what would have been like if I got in at a younger age and had that opportunity? Well,
I've been able to recreate myself many times. The market shifts, that maybe we're going through today in 2022 versus, what we went through 15 years ago. Very different.
Absolutely.
And every time the market changes, I think, honestly, that has been my strongest ability to, I'm a nerd. I know I don't maybe look as nerdy as I really am, but I'm super nerdy. I love my spreadsheets. Anybody who used to work for me when I was a new home sales manager hated my spreadsheets because I was always trying to categorize them and analyze them. I mean, I'm not an engineer. I'm very sales-minded, but I'm one of those sales-minded people that actually has a little engineer in them.
That's awesome.
So I get along really good with engineers, which has definitely been good for my business as well. But I think that's been my strong suit is in the last 30 years, the only reason I think I'm still around, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'm always trying to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, that's huge.
I got in doing short sales before most of my colleagues even understood what they were. Part of it out of necessity because at that time I was going through a divorce with 2 little kids and I had 7 properties I couldn't afford and tenants that weren't paying me rent.
Yeah, that makes it tough.
That was a lot of fun, yeah. Lots of fun. But, as long as I think you keep a good attitude, you can overcome anything.
Yeah.
And I just kept going. And so I completely bankrupted me. I started Integrity All-Stars in December of 2007. Funny story is the day I went and registered it with the state of Arizona was the date of the first date I had with my husband, who now works with me or has worked with me for the last 13 years. And I remember sitting with him at lunch, and he's like, "Integrity All-Stars? Why would you name it that?" I'm like, "I don't know, it just resonated with me." And here we are all these years later with Integrity All-Stars, still running big, and we have agents who work for us, full-time admin assistants that work for us. They allow me to do what I think at this stage in my career I'm a lot better at, which is just talking. I love to talk.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I got to look at the camera. But I think that's really, I think that's a great piece of it, though. I know that there's some people who've been doing this for, as you say, almost 30 years, who are still doing it themselves.
Right.
And they provide a certain experience for their clients, and they have a certain amount of joy of what they do versus someone who's been doing it and built a team and gets to do really what's your unique ability, right? Where you're in your genius zone and where you can actually thrive. And so I always say there's, I'm good at a lot of things. Well, I shouldn't say that. No, I'm good at a few things. But the things I'm good at, I don't actually drive. I don't love doing them. And so therefore, I was able to hire someone to do this thing I hated. Well, actually, I started with the things I wasn't good at. So there's a lot I'm not good at. So I was able to bring in people to do that. And then as I built the business, I was able to just do what you do. I love to talk. And so therefore I could get to the point of doing just that part. But that is why I love I've always loved the businesses that we're in.
There's 9 ways to skin a cat.
Yeah.
I can do what I'm loving doing as long as I have people I can leverage my other things I need to be doing with. And that what has enabled me to run my own podcast and go and will speak often on stages, panels. I get asked to do that all the time, and I love it. That's I love the education piece of it. And most of the time when I work with clients, the first thing I'm going to do is sit them down and talk to them about what's going on in the market in that moment, because it's always changing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I love it. So your podcast is gratefulheart.tv.
It is.
Let's make sure we send people there, right? We said Integrity All-Stars, integrityallstars.com.
Yeah.
And I think, but part of my point was about the leverage piece is that it also gives people, I think, a better experience. Because I think when I was doing loans, if I was trying to do all the paperwork and push all that stuff, I wouldn't have been the communicator. I'd be so busy doing that I wouldn't have been able to communicate the way that people wanted to. I wouldn't have actually been able to spend the time to help them feel comfortable with the numbers had I had to do all of that myself. And so I think that they had a better experience because, and I have to imagine that your clients have a better experience working with you because of it as well.
I absolutely wholeheartedly know that they do, because I get compliments just last night with people. I was sitting at their kitchen table and they're like, "Oh my gosh, we're so impressed. Your staff got us this, your staff got us this. Oh yeah, there's no way I could have done it." And in fact,
come on, they got me your bio before you came on here. I was like,
exactly.
Oh, that's really cool. You even have a bio.
They
got it to me.
And so what's cool about that is it does allow me to do what I need to do and still make a great impression on people. But I'll tell you what, probably the most important thing either of us will do is make sure we have people working for us that do represent us well.
Oh, absolutely.
And that can impress others so that we can do what we're really good at and allow them to do the things that they're better at. Shoot me if I have to go on my CRM and actually put in all the notes and all that stuff. Forget about it. It didn't happen before I had people to leverage to. But there's so much fear with letting go. There's so many agents that I'll lecture about their CRMs. There's so many people that I lecture about hiring an assistant. In fact, this past week I was in San Diego, and Berkshire Hathaway, gave me a really nice award. So once,
congratulations.
Thank you. It's just more of a shout out kind of thing, and it was cool. But after
downplay that cool award you got. That's all right. I'm gonna check it out afterwards.
Okay, whatever, dude. So, anyways, I'm at the bar, and I don't even drink anymore, but I'm there hanging out with everybody else. And this guy approached me, and we're talking, and he's like, "I want to know your business model. I want to know this. I want to know that," because they're tooting on my stats and stuff. And I'm telling him gosh. Well, he was kind of telling me about what he had going on, and he has one assistant. And I'm like, forget agents, get yourself another assistant. Imagine how much you can do if you had 2 of your girl instead of just 1, so that you can go do all the things that you see me doing. And he's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. But leverage is so important if you really want to achieve high, I think, in our business. And most people are too scared to even let go of the controls.
Well, but part of that comes down to systems, right, and processes, and understanding what that needs to look like. Because if you hire the right people, like you said, and then you've got the right systems and processes for them to plug into, then it's actually still not easy, but it's easier, right? Because of the fact that then there's something for them to follow, right? The whole idea of success leaves clues, and I think that when I first started the business, I was just lucky. I was lucky to get a coach. I was lucky to meet people who were invested in helping me become successful and share their systems, and I was able to customize and tweak those for me.
It just dawned on me, I think we both have Brett Tanner in common. Because I remember sitting at lunch with Brett 15 years ago, and he was sharing with me how important not just the assistants, and he gave me some advice, and he still has Sabrina with him today, I believe. Yep. And so it was great.
I texted with the 2 of them
yesterday.
That's
hilarious. Okay. And I loved her, and she was super cool. And he gave me some really great advice that I think helped me cultivate my people. So I probably owe him a shout out to you, Brett. And what else did he say? It was finding the right partners.
Yeah.
You know, when you have the right partners, it really helps to elevate your ability to do what you do well.
It's crazy because I just introduced Brad, my brother-in-law, Brad Shire, and Brad is actually the loan officer for Brett Tanner's team today, right? So
That's hilarious.
We've worked with Brett's team.
You haven't gotten far from him, have you?
For more than a decade, we've worked with Brett and his team, and I think that that's, to me, a lot of fun, right? It's a lot of fun to build those relationships, and I think that it's, it can be a great business. I mean, you exude fun when we're sitting here. You enjoyed it. You wouldn't be in it this long. I don't like talking to people like, yeah, I've been doing this job, and it's
it's not his job. It's a
just
passion.
a drag. Well, that's it, right? And and the beauty part about it is a passion where you can build a great life if you do it, and then you're also helping other people build great lives around you.
That's probably the most satisfaction I get is, I mean, even though I've been doing this nearly 30 years, Key Day is still my favorite day.
Yeah. Go
take pictures, and they're all smiling, and they're just so cute, and I love it. And we really the people that we work with make such an impact in the world that we live in, because our houses are the most important thing that we ever buy.
Yep.
And during COVID, I think that became even more apparent because you got locked in your house.
Right. If you didn't love it, it was a challenge.
It was a challenge. And that probably did spur all the crazy market, amongst many other things. But it is really satisfying knowing that when you do a good job for somebody, that they're going to love you forever. And it's like you have that imprint, that stamp in their heart that you put in there, and because you helped them with their home.
Yeah, I mean,
there's nothing better.
If you step back and look at it, it's life-changing for them.
It is.
Right? Whether it's their first home and it's not their perfect home, but it was a home. They got real estate. They built wealth through having that home. And then when they get the next one and the next one, or the investment property or whatever
Or you start helping their children, that's when you really start feeling old. How many of my clients' kids come to me now, and it's awesome because they come back because we take good care of them.
Yeah.
And that is really, I think, I feel I'm tongue twisted today. I don't know which is really odd for me, because I talk a lot, ask my husband, but to be able, it's so satisfying to be able to help people with the most important purchase in their life, to see how life-changing it is. And then nothing warms my heart more than, I don't care about gifts, but the fact that sometimes they actually give me a gift at the closing table.
How crazy is that, right?
Right? I mean, it rarely happens, but when it does, it's like, oh my gosh, I made such an imprint on their lives that, and then what are the testimonials and the reviews and the kind words, it really hits home, and that's what keeps me going after all these years.
Well, right. If someone hasn't figured out that you're super passionate about this by now, then they're probably...
They're not my client.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You might as well hit, stop. Well, and I think it's, one of the things that I know about you is that because of your experience, you're not going to sugarcoat it for someone. You're not going to blow smoke where you're just going to basically tell them how it is and what they need to do to be successful in their transaction.
Oh my gosh, it brings to me last night. The same client. We were looking at a home that she was thinking about buying, but she has to sell her house first. So we looked at the house she thought she liked, didn't like it, and then we go to her house. And when I'm sitting there listening to her and everything that she went through, she only owned it for a year. It's 2 doors down from Higley Road, so it's super noisy, and there's power lines right there. And everything she shared with me, and I'm walking through, and her fence is all jacked up. Like, there's so many things. And I'm like, who is your realtor? And I can't tell you. I don't even want to remember who this person was.
Well, yeah, because they sold them a house that's 2 doors down from a major road with power lines.
Yeah, and she hates that person now. She says she can't sleep at night. That's why she wants to sell. I mean, anywhere you drive, you're passing homes that back a road, right? I mean, it's not for everybody, but you need to make sure that when your client's with you, that you're watching out for them and thinking about the next house. And unfortunately, there's too many people in my business and your business that just think about the paycheck at the end of the month. That's not me.
Yeah, they're focusing on paying their mortgage versus what a mortgage you're going to have to pay.
And that is such a good point, Todd, because I have mentored countless agents over the years, and the biggest mistake I see is when they're so hungry that instead of, and I love the Callaways. Oh my gosh, they're the cutest couple.
Yes.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I had them on a radio show a couple times.
Oh, have you?
And they sat there and they held each other's hand the whole time. It was
my
so
gosh,
cute.
they're the cutest. And they wrote that book, Clients First.
Yep.
I've always lived by that. I didn't need to read the book, but when I read the book, it so resonated with me that I would share it with any of my new agents back in those days. But now, today, when I see behaviors of certain agents that I interact with, I'm like, oh God, you're not going to last a year. You're not going to last 2 years, because no one's going to come back to you if you aren't making sure their needs are met first. because the money always follows if you're taking good care of people.
Yeah, it's not I mean, people view it as a transactional business, and if they do, then they shouldn't be in the business.
They shouldn't be in the business. Yeah. You're relational, just like I am.
Yeah.
That's why we still work with people we've worked with for decades now. And our clients are going to keep coming back to us because they know we care about them.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Well, and this market's a different market, right? I mean, you kind of said it's always
market.
Right. I joke about it, right? But I think this one is unique in itself. So I love the fact that I won't ask you what your crystal ball says about tomorrow, because you said you're looking ahead to what's going to happen. But this market right now,
we can have a good conversation.
This market right now, you kind of made a comment. You didn't say it exactly this way, but you said you've got the must moves and the
have-tos.
The have-tos. There we go.
The have-tos or the wannas. The want-tos. So my clients last night that I met up with, they're want-tos. They want to, but right now, they're not in a huge hurry. They know they have a lot of work to do. They know they don't want to pay 1.4 for a house that just closed escrow 2 years ago for $700 and doesn't look like they did more than $15,000 of work in it. So they're my want tos, and I'm going to keep working with my want tos until they're ready. But it's my have tos that are buying today, the ones that are relocating into the state of Arizona, which there's still a ton of people relocating here. So even though we have maybe a little surplus of homes right now, thanks to some of our iBuyers who bought a little too much, cool. We have some wonderful opportunities out there for the buyers that want to come out and go play in the sandbox with me.
That's it. So if someone here listening doesn't know what an iBuyer is, can you just give it a quick definition?
The best definition for an iBuyer would be an entity that most of them these days are being traded on the stock market. They're large entities, one by the name of Open Door, one by the name of OfferPad, and I love both those guys. I work with them a lot, and previous to them, Zillow, which now Zillow and Open Door kind of doing something, so we'll see what's going on there. But that said, they served a wonderful purpose, and I even sent my own sister to OfferPad. I'm friends with everybody. They serve the purpose of helping people sell their homes or buy their homes from them so they can go buy the next home, and they do it for profit.
Yeah, a big cash buying investor, and I saw they're just over 10% of the inventory right now is owned by them.
It is. In fact, was working my little nerdy brain this morning trying to figure out how to set up a safe search just to make sure I captured all of Open Door's listings, because they are currently listing with a couple of different people, not just in-house. And I pulled up 1,700 of Open Door's listings today active.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They only sold 150 last month. So they were saying there's 18 months of inventory with them alone, which if they carried all those houses for 18 months, it's going to kill them.
Yeah, so what I would say is time out real quick. So you said, hey, I referred my sister to him. So if you're thinking about using an iBuyer now or in the future, call you first, right? You can actually help them make sure they're making the right decision. Because
there's different entities and there's different reasons. She was going through divorce, couldn't have showings, her house was not in the condition. Yeah. There's other clients that have other reasons why they need to go through those services, and that's great. And I'm happy to help them find the best fit for them because I know all of them. And sometimes a private investor is a better way to go too. Today, though, a lot of those investors overbought and they kind of got stuck with their pants down.
Yeah, and now before they would pay top dollar because they thought that the market was going to be higher next month.
There's way too much risk now.
Right, they thought it was way too much, and now if they're buying at all, they're buying for really,
a lot less.
Yeah, super low ball buyers now.
Right. Well, and so that's the thing I'm seeing in today's marketplace is typically I'm getting the opportunist or looking to steal a house or the have-tos.
Yeah. So can someone steal a house in the market?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's opportunity, but only if the seller's desperate enough.
Right.
Some of those Open Door listings have been active since February and March.
Wow.
So they've been carrying them a long time.
Good thing they got all that public money, right?
Good thing for them.
And they may or may not have a large, whichever consumer, whatever committee, someone just find them a bunch of money too.
Yeah. Well,
just Google that. Don't quote
any of us on any of that stuff. But I will say that I do think there's great opportunity in the marketplace today, because what it reminds me a lot of right now, before the market got crazy in June of 2020, that April, May.
Oh, that was
a good time. I helped a lot of clients steal some houses during that time period because they trusted me and they went ahead and moved forward even though they were a little scared. And they are sitting really pretty today. I kind of feel like we're in that same little pocket, because once social media I think has ruined our market in the sense that news travels way too fast, good and bad, but usually bad worse goes faster, right? But I really do believe that until social media says it's okay to buy again, the floodgates aren't going to open.
Right.
And so between now and then, there's some opportunities. There's certainly some opportunities, because I'm seeing sellers doing things that they haven't done in years to get their houses sold.
Well, and if you have to, then you're going to do something different than someone who might want to.
Absolutely.
And so that's where a great agent can ask the right questions to identify the opportunities.
The great agents know people.
Yeah.
It makes a big difference.
Well, and it's just so, and I agree with you about the window piece, right? Because I remember sitting there, and it's raining refinances, and our team could barely move, right? 7 days a week in the office, just trying to serve, the clients who we've done loans for who are counting us, and just saying, gosh, there's a window, and we just couldn't even pull back to think about it and saying, gosh, that would have been great.
Oh, I remember one in particular closed on Cinco de Mayo, and he was so scared he was ready to cancel up until the night before, and he had to kill her. I got him a VA accepted because at that time period I couldn't even get VA loans.
Yeah, I was gonna say, right.
And he wanted to use Bank of America. Nobody wanted to deal with the outside bank. Are you kidding me? So many things I was able to negotiate for him that was not happening, and it hasn't happened for a couple of years. Now we're kind of back to much more of a buyer's market. Certain areas much more so than others. The entire valley has inventory, but in the outlying areas, there's definitely a lot more opportunity, in my opinion.
And so you said that someone has to have their house ready to sell, and that's part of the challenge people are having to swallow the pill of, oh my gosh, I actually have to.
You have to clean it.
I have to make it look better. I have to.
You might have to fix something.
Yeah.
You might actually have to change out those terrible countertops. Like last night, I was looking at these Galaxy black countertops that nobody wants anymore, right?
Right. It was cool for a while.
It was cool. It was super cool for a while. And she's like, I am absolutely not doing that. I'm like, okay, cool. I won't give you recommendations on anything that's going to cost you money. And then we walk down the hallway, and I see this door. And in this door, there's this hole at the bottom, and it has these little cat ears.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, so cute. And I'm like, no one's going to want your cat door either. I hate to tell you, probably not the cat that comes with it, because a lot of people don't like homes that have cats in them. Anyways, pretty sure if we try to hide the cat, they're going to know you have one with that door. So let's at least get rid of the door. Can we replace the door, please? So they have to clean. They need to stage, and they need to do repairs. And if my clients, when I go visit them, tell me they're not willing to do that, then I'm probably not going to work with them today, because they're just going to be wasting days on market.
Well, you're setting them up for failure, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to educate them.
And that's I think the big difference between an experienced agent and an agent who's a transactional agent.
Absolutely.
An experienced relational agent and a transactional agent.
Well, because I want to help them at the next house, and the house after that, and then their kids. Unfortunately, I'm that old. I'll keep doing it for probably who knows how much longer, and I'll probably be helping my kids, one of these days. But that's cool because I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the beauty of the business is that it can be a long-term career that people who have the passion that you have don't feel like, oh my gosh, I got to quit now.
No way. No, there's too many new things happening all the time.
Yeah.
And if you're staying ahead of what's happening now, then I'll be the first one doing NFTs. That's what I think's happening tomorrow. And in the meantime, I'll sell a whole bunch of cabins up north because I love going up north too.
So let's talk up north. So you love Payson, pineapple, no, strawberry.
Not pineapple.
Strawberry.
It is really funny
pine.
Because my house is on peach, so my emoji always pops up for peach.
Oh,
and then
nice.
we have strawberry, then strawberry pops up,
Nice.
or pine with a tree. We serve Payson, strawberry, and pine. My husband and I bought a cabin in Strawberry back in 2017 after my father passed. I was so caught up before he passed that we didn't have time, we didn't have money, we had the kids, we had all these reasons. It was the best freaking thing we ever did, especially when COVID hit, that we actually had a place to get away to. And it's been awesome. And what's even more awesome is it's really fun looking at cabins because every cabin's different. And every time somebody comes to visit us, they want to buy one. So we've actually started branching out into northern Arizona besides working the entire valley.
All right, so let's talk about where it is geographically. I know where it is because I've driven there and been there to all those places, and even ridden my bike actually up the road once back when it was a narrow road.
Stop it.
Yeah, I know. Only once though. I have friends who used to do it every weekend.
Surprised you didn't kill yourself.
Well,
that sounds terrible.
You get run over. That was my biggest fear. It just was narrow back then.
You mean all those little crosses up and down the road?
Yeah. So, so I know where it is. But give someone the direction who flies into Sky Harbor in the middle of Phoenix.
If you fly into Sky Harbor, there's this mountain in northeast Mesa that has this arrow that points to Phoenix. You know that arrow? You know what I'm talking about, Todd? So you just keep driving up the Beeline Highway until you hit the town of Payson. Payson is actually a really great town because you can continue to go east and you'd hit Christopher Creek, Heber, Overguard, all these other wonderful northern territories. But if you keep going north just another 20 minutes, then you hit Pine and Strawberry, which is where we've chosen to hang out. I love it up there. Just a little further up north, you can go to Happy Jack and cross over, and then now next thing you know, you're in Munns Park, you're in Flagstaff, you're in Sedona. The whole northern Arizona area, I mean, I'm licensed in the entire state. I can work the entire state, but personally, I feel like I better serve people in the areas that I know best. And my team, for the most part, works in the Southeast Valley, but when I was doing short sales, which from 2007 through 2013 was my entire business, I wasn't over the entire state. I was having people hire me from everywhere. So if you actually look up geographically all the areas I've served, while there's a big blob in the whole Southeast Valley because of all the houses I've sold there, the entire valley we service. I try to stay in my backyard as much as possible, which would be more Chandler, which is where my office is located. But I know Surprise, I know Phoenix, I know Glendale, I know all the areas.
Well, you said you were in short sale. So those of you who don't know what a short sale is, that's when
I need to describe that?
That's when you owe more money to the bank than your house is worth, and you're selling it for short of what you owe, and it's a negotiation. It was a pain. And so anyone who got in early, you were like a true pioneer, because eventually some banks got good at it and it became a business that was easy. But up front, you were like,
I was taking donuts and pizza down to Countrywide when they were still around.
Yeah,
like
so-
I was brown-nosing every person I could to look at my files. It was funny. I actually went to school with Kevin and Fred. You know who I'm talking about.
of course.
In 2007, the three of us dum-dums were sitting in short sale genius class together, trying to figure it all out together. And all three of us did really well with it for several years. But it was mainly because I personally believe I could relate to people. I'd just gone through my divorce, lost a bunch of houses, and all those tears I had at the dining table, I had myself.
yeah.
You know, and so I think when you can relate to people and make it very evident you actually care about them.
Because you actually care about them.
Because I actually care about them, believe it or not, and I do. I mean, and they feel it, and they can tell the difference. You know, people can tell when you're genuine or not.
Well, and that's a different market because, right, you can serve the Southeast Valley where you live and love. You can serve up north where you live and love. And then, but back then, you didn't know how long it was going to take, so you had to go far and wide and become the expert of all those areas.
Well, the funny thing is, back before anybody else was doing pay-per-clicks, again, I'm always trying to be ahead of my game. I did a video called Short Sales Suck.
Yeah, well,
I
they
said
did.
the word suck about, I don't know, 20 times in that video.
Yeah.
I literally got like 3 to 4 listings a week there for a good solid 6 months. And I was helping people in Kingman. I was helping people everywhere. I'd have to find agents in those areas to partner with because there's no way I can make it to those houses.
Yeah.
But they were all seeking us out because they knew we knew how to negotiate. And we did it with a heart.
Comes back to process and system, right? You got a process and system to do it, no different than you have.
Have the right people working for you,
Yeah.
make sure that they know how to do what they're doing, and just, you know, giving everybody the right guidance can make such a difference.
All right, so let's go back up north for a second because this is just truly, I feel like I know a lot, but I have no idea. What if I'm going to buy a cabin up in Strawberry, like in Pine Lake? What is that? What's a cabin cost up there? I mean, I realize there's probably $1 million cabins, but is there?
You know, it's so funny.
Can I buy like a little log, you know, like the Unibarn, like kind of size cabin, and if for cheaper, is it really all bigger stuff, or what does it look like?
So that's what's so cool about it, because I never know what I'm going to see when I go into these cabins. I have seen, so today's real estate is very different than it was when James and I bought in 2017. The day him and I went shopping, I still remember, I think he found 12 cabins for us to look at, because he'd been looking for quite some time before he got me up there. And what we bought, we paid $275 for. Today it's probably worth about $550 if we were to sell it. But back then, you could get a house under $300, a cabin under $300, no problem. You know, no problem at all. And then 2018-ish, the number kind of turned into $385.
Wow, so pretty quick.
Pretty quick, because it started kind of getting a little bit more activity up there. I think that lending guidelines helped with that in that era. And then COVID hits.
And no one wanted to live in that town anymore.
Oh, hell no. It was the exact opposite, honestly, Todd.
Yeah.
Everybody escaped the valley and went up north.
That's it.
So
That's
is that
I
what you meant?
That's
okay.
what I meant. Yeah, no one wanted to live here. They all want to go live up there.
They all wanted, so all of a sudden our cute little town that, like, we had very seasonal, you know, maybe 40% occupancy, you know, most of the time, was overloaded with people from the valley, which is super funny because up there they called us flatlanders. They don't like the flatlanders coming up, and they don't like them raising the prices. They don't like change at all. One of the biggest issues we're having right now is water, because I personally believe there's a lot of water up there, but they don't want people thinking there is. And so right now, if you watch the news, there's no water, and that's complete bullshit as far as I'm concerned. But that said, today's prices, just a starter cabin is going to run you around $500,000.
Dang. But you guys have built crazy memories there in the last 5 years.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, that's
I
what it's all
love it
about.
up there. And we actually bought land. We've parceled it off. We're going to be building another place up there, and I'll probably keep the one that I have. My nephew's bought a place up there who works with us. We have so many friends that live up there. It's super fun. But it's just, I think there's no beating getting in the trees.
Yeah.
Getting out in the fresh air. And for us, since I'm actually working up there too, if somebody wants to go see a cabin, cool. And it just makes it even more fun. You know?
Absolutely. It's a little cooler.
Oh gosh, 25 degrees cooler for a 2-hour drive.
I was going to say 90 minutes to 2 hours to get all the way up there.
Yeah, I'm down in South Chandler, so for us it's 2 hours. Usually most people in the Southeast Valley end up going to that side. I think of the northern territories where folks on the west side of town typically go up to Munns and
Park,
Flag and all of that. Sometimes I think some people make it out, well, a lot of times people make it out to Pine Top and Show Low area. To me, that seems too far.
It's a long drive, yeah.
For us, we go up all the time because it's less than 2 hours.
I think that would be the key for me. You know, it's funny because you talked about that window, and that window, I said, okay, I called my friend. I own a rental, long-term rental in Flagstaff, and I called her and said, hey, what are the opportunities? She's like, you just missed it. I'm like, what? She's like, oh yeah, I had all my friends who panicked, sold their Airbnbs. I want a short-term rental. She's like, yep, they literally sat on the market, they all just sold like in the last 2 weeks. I'm like, dang it. But I still should have bought, and we just, again, got so busy. And so I often think that people think they're too busy for the opportunity, and that's where I would encourage people, hey, if this is something that you've been thinking about, that you've been like, hey, I should do it, that there's no reason to wait, because you just said it, if you don't have to, but you want to, that's a good opportunity for somebody who wants to buy up there to look and find the right property.
To find the right property with somebody who has to sell.
Right.
Because there's a lot of them, and you're right. We've had a lot of people who bought Airbnbs because it was the thing to do during COVID, and they were renting great during COVID, but now that COVID's over and people can travel overseas again, it's all vacant again up there.
That was it. You know, we bought an Airstream, we cruised, we rented an Airbnb, and we dropped it off to get work done on it in South Carolina, picked my daughter up in New York, went to Connecticut, and she's like, oh yeah, I can't keep this place not rented. But she said, yeah, everyone wanted to come up from the city during the year, and it was a great opportunity. And then she sent me an email recently, said, hey guys, coming back? And I said, what's going on? She's like, oh, a little quieter now here.
Yeah, it's a lot quieter because people can go anywhere they want to again.
Yep. And we sold our Airstream for, what we paid for it after, 6 months, 3 different trips, and it was a lot of fun. But we took advantage of the opportunity, and sounds like you said there's people who are have-to sellers now, and that's the opportunity that people might want to reach out about.
Absolutely. We have the have-tos, and those are definitely the opportunities that people should take advantage of. I actually was joking that I needed to do this TikTok video. My staff is like set that I have to do TikTok.
We're all into TikTok here. Yep. Make sure you check out Your Neighborhood Real Estate Show on TikTok. I don't know what's going to be on there yet, but it's going to be fire, as the TikTokers say.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was like joking. I'm like, And I really did want to talk about Open Door and the opportunity that I see today with 17 homes on the market. 1 out of every 10 houses out there is being held by just them alone.
Yeah, 1,700. That's a huge number.
That's a huge number. During the worst of the worst, we only had 4,600 active homes in the valley in the entire MLS.
So I know what I read in the Cronford report, what they think that means. What do you think it means that Open Door has that much inventory, including stuff they've had since February?
What they're saying right now is that they took down 150 homes last month. And so at that tick, they would only... they would take 18 months to go through their inventory of that, and that means that they didn't buy any more houses, right? Well, I don't think they are buying right now very many houses, but I don't think it's really going to take them 18 months. I think they're going to start cutting their losses, because it's just insane to carry that many houses.
And they're making a financial decision, not an emotional decision.
Well,
so
'cause they're
most
investors.
sellers who don't want to cut their price, it's because they emotionally want a number. And in their case, they financially have to hit a number, because at some point they've got to clear them off because they're publicly traded.
They answer to Wall Street, they absolutely do. And the people that want to do something, I encourage them to talk to lenders. Interest rates aren't as scary as people say. I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing it all day long. People are able to get back into the forest with barely buying down the rate at all. And you know better than I do, because that's your world.
Well, but that's where seller credits come in now, right? Again, you already said it before, you couldn't negotiate a seller credit to save your life because they were like, well, shoot, someone else will pay me 10 grand more than I'm asking.
They wouldn't let an FHA buyer if their life depended on it.
Yeah, and so really the ability to take the seller's money to buy a rate lower than you normally would have bought it, or to do a 2-1 buy down where the interest rate is 2% lower for the first year, 1% lower for the second year, and then is fixed for the rest time.
Todd.
Well, that's it, right? What's old is new again. And I always laugh when that's the case.
That's the thing. Okay, so it does scare the shit out of me. I know I've said this a lot today. You guys might have to crop that out. 62% of the agents walking around today have never seen a market of 28 days on market.
That's a huge number. I haven't heard that statistic, but I'm
heard
not
that
shocked
one
by it.
a day ago. And that is super scary, because I've been doing this almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So to, in my brain, think that 3 out of 5 agents walking around the streets have never had to negotiate a BINSR or repairs, or know how to truly market a home in today's marketplace where it's much more balanced than it's been in 3 years. Well, really, 8 years if you think about it.
Well, you've already you've already outlined it, right, with your experience and the advice that you're giving, which is critical. And so someone who hasn't seen the markets isn't going to do it and isn't going to understand what it's going to take to actually get that house
Sad,
sold.
actually.
Right?
It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So don't talk to them, talk to me.
There you go. All right. So integrityallstars.com. All right. So I think we could probably talk for another hour.
Easy.
I know you were disappointed that, this was a shorter form, even though
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
letting
like,
us go
what,
over.
15 minutes?
Yeah,
You're
but
kicking me out already?
But what else should we talk about? I mean, what didn't we talk about that you think is a really cool opportunity or idea in this market?
What I do think's coming tomorrow, and I've been head first, NFTs, crypto, blockchain, all of that. And if you don't learn about it, you better soon, because it's coming. It's
All right,
already
so
happening.
NFT, non-fungible token, and so most people think that
Fungible, yeah.
Fungible. All right, that too. Most people think of it. They think that they're looking at a monkey on a piece of art, right?
Nope.
So that's what most people think. So how do you see that playing out in real estate?
Oh, they've already sold homes in real
Yeah.
estate, and 2 of them in Florida. They're using Ethereum, which is a cryptocurrency, to interchange it into the NFT, so they could purchase the NFT.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly fascinating because many people can own that same NFT.
Right.
But an NFT could be as simple as a closing gift, because I heard about a gal in California just last week that's giving NFTs for closing gifts, and all that is a picture of the home, and they're putting it on the blockchain and dropping it into people's wallets. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, and this sounds like a foreign language, you better go to school and learn about it. It is going to be tomorrow. Just like when I was learning about short sales with Fred and Kevin in 2007, that happened, and it lasted for a very long time, and I don't think it's going to change. From what I understand, I believe it's El Salvador, and I want to say Saudi Arabia, but I could be wrong. There's another country, and it's not Saudi, it's, why can't I think of it? Dubai. They're already on crypto. Only crypto.
El Salvador, you can get everyone got in their own account, and
Yeah.
you get it from an ATM, you get your money out that way.
Yeah.
It's how the government's dispersing funds.
So that's how they're doing it now.
Yeah.
And, it really scares me to think about where we're at in our government right now with our economy. So, I don't know. Wiping student loan debt, wiping all this other shit away. I don't know, Todd. At some point, we're going to be all on crypto. And it's coming soon. I mean, think about it. Venmo, that's actually a form of crypto, same as Zelle.
Yeah, I don't think most people view it that way, but yeah, absolutely, just sending money back and
They
forth.
will view it.
Yeah.
It's coming.
All right, you said it first. All right, so I want to ask again, what else should we talk about? I was like, all right, let's call it a wrap, but I'm like, I just feel like there's so much more we could chat about.
Well, we could sit here and talk for hours. I
know.
do my own show, and I love talking. Obviously, you guys haven't been able to shut me up since I've been here. But why don't you just have me back again?
All right, let's do that. All right, people, let's make sure that we connect with Rebecca and her team, right? IntegrityAllStars.com. Let's watch your GratefulHeart.tv podcast, and that was truly a pleasure.
It was. Likewise. Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
much. All right. This episode is brought to you by HomebuyerUniversity.net, your free comprehensive guide to buying or refinancing your home. Click over to HomebuyerUniversity.net to get started online today.